What's going on, party people? My name is Solomon and I am an artist, and thus I go by Solomon the Artiste. If this is your first time visiting my channel, please feel free to hit that subscribe button. However, I do like to say, don't feel pressure to hit that subscribe button. Watch this video since you're already here, and watch another 2 or 3 videos, and if you like my content, please hit that subscribe button because I would love to have your viewership. Well, let's get straight into the video. So, I don't even remember exactly how, but I came across a Sephora, the reason I quit Sephora video. And I saw that one, and then I saw a multitude of others in the recommended section to the left of the video, to the right of the video rather. And I just kind of got engulfed in watching all these videos as someone who used to work at Sephora also. So I'm watching these videos and I'm realizing that there is one common thread that binds all these videos, these experiences, these Sephora ex-employees, most of whom, well, all of whom who really worked in different Sephoras in different parts of the country. There's this one connective thread, including that connective thread actually connects with my video that you're watching right now as well. And so I really wondered if I should do this video because yes, I quit Sephora, but I did it with good reason. And I figured, you know what, instead of me just giving my experience because, you know, who cares really, but you know, people are sharing their experiences, so I figured why not share mine as well. However, most of the videos I've come across here on YouTube, they seem to have a very heavy negative connotation to it. And even though I did quit, I can't pretend as if everything or most of my experience at Sephora was bad. If anything, the pros heavily outweigh the cons of working at Sephora. And so I figured instead of just offering my experience, I would offer the pros and cons, especially because a lot of times when people find out that I worked at Sephora, you know, they will ask, what is it like? What was it like? You know, I would like to work there. You know, it's often, it's these young men and women often, you know, coming out of high school who want to get a job that appeals to their interest, but still, I guess, allows them to go to school and things like that, you know. And I have to be honest, Sephora is perfect for that. So let me just get straight into it. So the pros of working for Sephora. Off the bat, Sephora is completely 100% about education. They want you and expect you to know any and everything about all the product in the store. Now that sounds virtually impossible, but really it's not. It takes time and you don't realize that you're actually picking up on everything as it's happening, but it's more than possible. And Sephora makes it very easy for you as an employee to do this. So for one thing, every single shift that you work at Sephora, you are required to, I forget what the terminology was for this, but you're required to go and watch 2 to 3 educational videos about whatever brands are out there. There's a multitude of videos. Like there's videos that basically give you like the history of particular brands. There are videos that teach you about specific products. You know, if there's a brand new product that's coming out or that came out, there'll be a video on that. There's literally a video about everything. About every product, about every brand, about, you know, fragrance, makeup, skincare, hair care, whatever, everything Sephora sells, there are videos about these things and you're required to watch them. And these videos are very often updated, so you constantly are being you constantly are being updated. How other way is there to, say it? So they have these videos. You watch them. That's one way. Another educational way of enlightening you, so to speak, is the Sephora University, which I had the pleasure of taking part in. And Sephora University is basically where they are given a week worth of classes, and instead of going to work, you go to these classes. You're still being paid for being at these classes, and you have to, you learn about everything. When I went, I learned how to do an eyebrow. I learned how to do a smoky eye. I learned how to apply foundation. I learned about skincare. I learned about the importance of, layering your skincare, what, goes down first, what works best on what type of skin. I learned about fragrance. I learned about all the different notes. I learned about hair care. I learned about all these many different things. And then additionally, if I remember correctly, I even learned how to, basically how to, I don't want to say persuade, but help clients realize that they need something that they're not considering purchasing. I'll be honest, that part I didn't love too much, because even though I made it sound nice, we all know what that really means. So there's that. And then additionally, in respect to education, Sephora often, every other day, if not every day, there is some representative from some brand that is in the store giving hands-on, face-to-face education on product, whether it's new product or old product. They're just constantly educating you and just telling you how to sell this thing. So there's that. Another pro is that, let's just jump to the fun part. Another pro is gratis. Now gratis, me try to reach back into my Sephora mindset. Gratis is French for free. So in essence, gratis is basically a bag or what have you of stuff that Sephora will give to you, a bag of products basically from within the store. Now people think it's just, Sephora being nice and saying, we love you, we love our employees, so here's some free stuff. But that is not what gratis is. Gratis really is homework. It's research. So basically, they give you all these products, and really, it's not Sephora giving you the products. You earn the products by doing these classes, by watching these videos, by taking part in these classes from brand representatives. You earn this gratis essentially. But anyone who's gone to Sephora knows that Sephora is not necessarily a cheap place to purchase anything. There's affordable things, absolutely, but it's not cheap collectively. So a lot of this product we're grateful for, but in essence we're supposed to take these products and use them so that we can give our clients information about them, not just based on what a representative has taught us and or told us to say, and not just based on what the videos say that we watched, but also based on our experience with the products. So that's what gratis is essentially. So you get all this free stuff, you use it, and yes, it's great. You get some makeup, you get some skincare, you get some fragrances, you get whatever. There's some of everything basically in there usually, and in essence you're supposed to use it. You're supposed to, of course, enjoy it, use it, but take it and realize that it's homework. You get it not just because Sephora is being nice, but because they want you to sell, honestly. Another pro is that Sephora, from my experience and from everyone else that I've ever known, is so incredibly gracious when it comes to our lives outside of Sephora. And I can give a great example of that. I am an actor, and I made that very clear from the moment I even applied to Sephora. And they welcomed that with open arms, because they figured if I'm an entertainer, if I'm an actor, and I love to be on stage and love to be energetic and be, full of all this energy, then clearly I would, and can bring this personality and energy to the sales floor. And that worked in my favor often. People really enjoyed my energy, to the point where people didn't believe that I was a New Yorker, but I am born and raised in New York. I kind of took a little, offense to that when people would say I'm too nice to be a New Yorker, but that's neither here nor there. But I digress. The best example, I had auditioned for a production, and I was cast. But I was reluctant to accept the role because it would require me to go to Massachusetts. Now, I had to decide, was this show, as much as I wanted to do the show, was this show worth quitting Sephora for? Because Sephora was my constant, bread and butter. That was my money. And that's going to take me to my next pro. But I spoke to a manager. I spoke to the hiring manager and she was the hiring manager and the scheduling manager, which makes sense. But I spoke to her about it, and my plan was, look, I'm going to just tell her the truth. This is what the options are, and this is where I am. I don't want to lose my job, so whatever you think is best is exactly what I'm going to do. And I was so sure she was going to tell me, well, if you take that opportunity, where I have to remove you off, our roster. And so she said, well, no, I know you. You're a great worker, and you clearly want to do this, so let's try to work this out. So she took me into the office. We looked at a couple of options, and she had this thought, she realized that I was never the type of dude to call out. Like, I never called out of work because I was afraid for some odd reason, but I never called out of work. And that's a lie. I think I called out once, and that's because I was so sick I couldn't even get out of bed. But nonetheless, though, she looked at my vacation time that I had saved up, and she realized I had enough vacation time to go and do the rehearsals in Massachusetts without having to come back to New York. And then the way we set it up was that, the show was set up in such a way where I would perform Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. And as strenuous as it was, she set it up where I could come and work specifically on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So even though it was strenuous on me as a human being, it worked for me. I would basically drive out on Sunday nights to Massachusetts to be there by 3 o'clock in the morning. I would get some sleep. I would do these shows Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And then Wednesday night, when the show would close, I would, literally the show would close at 10:30. I would wipe my makeup off, jump into my car, and basically drive straight back to New York to be in New York by about 3 o'clock in the morning, catch a few hours of sleep, and then head to the city to go to work. And I would work that Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then again head right back out Sunday night into Monday morning to be back in Massachusetts. And this was a 3-month process for me. But it was okay because I got to keep my job, which I was so happy for, and I got to satisfy my artistic need, which I was incredibly grateful for. And Sephora, this manager in particular, she was willing to work this out for me because I was willing to put forth my best energy for Sephora when I would be at work. So the point I'm trying to make, though, is that Sephora will work with you if you're giving them the best that you've got to give the Sephora sales floor. they're gonna give it back to you. And that leads me to the next pro, the money. Sephora pays very well. I remember when I applied, I asked for a certain amount because I knew that I didn't know anything at all about makeup, about fragrance, about anything in Sephora. But what I did have was great experience in customer service and behind a register. So I asked for enough that I felt satisfied my experience and expertise, but I still brought it down enough where I could make it seen that I understand that I have no knowledge of what Sephora, sells. When they called me and hired me and told me what they were paying me, they said, "Are you okay with being paid this amount?" And it was $4 more than I asked for per hour. On the inside, I was just jumping for joy, going ballistic. But on the phone, I was like, yeah, that works for me. I can do with that, which was, it's whatever. But the money pays very well. And then in addition to that, Sephora has this beautiful system, this tier system, where if you meet your sales goal or beat it by a certain amount, I believe there were 5 tiers. Every time that you, depending on whatever tier you met, you would get this bonus on your check. And boy, when I tell you, like when you would hit that 4th or 5th tier, it was like getting 2 to 3 checks all in one. Like it was phenomenal, and they make sure that you are well taken care of financially. They even do something where, first, obviously, Sephora, gives you a costume to wear, a uniform. And I'm gonna mention another pro. It's a specialized pro, but it worked for someone like me tremendously. But Sephora, they give you a costume, and of course, it's your job to keep your costume clean. They do give you I shouldn't say an allowance. If you take your costume to the cleaners and you bring the receipt to Sephora, they will reimburse you. Granted, I don't know if they still do that, but it was something that they did when I was working there. I can't imagine that they stopped doing that. And not many people, like very, very, very few employees actually took advantage of that. A lot of people just threw their costumes into washing machines, which is totally fine, obviously. But the option is there, basically, to take your clothes to your uniform to the cleaners. Something that I love about Sephora, this is another pro, and this is specialized, for me or for anyone else who is an actor. Sephora is built basically on theater terms. So like the sales floor is called the stage, your managers are called directors, we as employees, we're called the cast, and there's backstage and all these things. Like it's literally, when I learned that coming into Sephora, I thought that was incredibly beautiful, and I was just like, yo, this is amazing, and I guess that's why Sephora is so encouraging with the artist types. Like there were times where I'm tired, it's like 12:30 at night. There were times where Sephora would let me sing to customers. Like I've had a whole mic and got to sing love songs to customers on Valentine's Day, simply because I was that dude walking around singing all the time anyway, Sephora allows you to be that artsy, crazy person as long as you do it comfortably, yeah. And I'm trying to think, am I missing any other pros? I think those are pretty much all the pros. I mean, the education, the money, if I remember anything else, I'll bring it up a little later on. I'm trying to keep this video as short as possible, but I think I'm gonna have to break this video into like 2, maybe 3 parts. And you know, I guess if you're watching this now, you'll see according to the title, I guess. So I've had a lot of great experiences at Sephora, and I loved working at Sephora. I'll be honest, if the opportunity presented itself, absolutely, I would go back to work at Sephora. My reasoning for leaving had nothing to do with Sephora itself. It was, you know, personal to me. You know, I had some, I felt that I had only, actually, before I even get to that, let me just continue with this video. So there are all these pros. I still believe the pros outweigh the cons, you know, and all of what I learned at Sephora, I still take with me. So I knew nothing about makeup, but because of all the classes that Sephora offers, you know, I took advantage of all those classes. I learned all these things. They give you makeup. They gave me a bunch of brushes, you know, for free that I could use to like practice makeup and stuff. And I'm not even gonna front, like I was practicing on my mom, on my sister. You know, I practiced on people that I did shows with. You know, I took advantage of, you know, anyone who would let me just practice on them. I did it because my thing was I wanted to be proficient in all the worlds of the store. You know, I was phenomenal at the register. I worked on the fragrance wall. I worked in skin. I worked in color. I worked in hair, which was basically a part of skin, basically. And I worked in loss prevention. Not loss prevention. I worked the overnight shift, basically. I forgot what they were called, recovery or whatever. But basically, I worked in every section of Sephora. And I did that purposely because there was a point where I wanted to grow in the company and go into management. But really that was just because I wanted to make more money. You know, I had things that I wanted to take care of. I'm glad that things did not work out in that way now, because I'd still, there's, like I said, I love working at Sephora, and if the opportunity presented itself where I could go back as a cast member, not in management or anything, I would most likely do it.